Hey gang, welcome to this week's High Value Publishing session. I'm looking forward to this week's session. I think it's going to be an opportunity to get some new revenue opportunities for a bunch of niche publishers here who may not exactly have a ton of traffic, but have some great content and some great niche products to sell. And of course, I'm talking about audience extension advertising. This is where we're going to get programmatic ad inventory, and we're going to add it to your own inventory served through your own ad server. So this is a very good episode for any sales team, any publication who needs to have some additional inventory to sell. Quick housekeeping notes. This session is indeed being recorded. All past sessions are available. Just go to highvaluepublishing.com. Any links that we talk about during this session will be available when the recording is posted to the site. And this is also available as a podcast. If you can't catch us live, you can follow us on our YouTube channel, Apple, Google, Spotify, Alexa, whatever you want to do there. If you have any questions about today's session, you're watching us live, post it to the chat. I am monitoring that over here. And then if you have any questions, if you're watching it recorded, go to highvaluepublishing.com and you can post it right there. There's a link to post the questions. As always, thanks to What's New in Publishing for rebroadcasting these sessions. Fantastic publication for us in the media industry. Highly recommend you subscribe to it. Okay, why are we talking about audience extension advertising? Well, bottom line, there's publishers out there basically feel like they don't have enough inventory. Now, there are different kinds of publishers out there. There's some publishers out there, some of the larger media organizations, they've got millions upon millions upon millions of ad impressions. And actually some of the larger advertisers I work with, actually larger publishers that I work with, I should say, we find out that they are actually not selling out their inventory, right? They're not selling out anywhere near enough inventory to justify that. So I'm not talking to those kinds of publishers. If you got more than enough inventory to sell, not talking to you. But there's a lot of other publishers out there in various niches, whether it's hobbyist, consumer enthusiast niches, whether it's maybe regional business or even some regional consumer publications or B2B trade journals, where you don't have enough ad inventory to sell. You're running out of things to sell, or you need to add more value to what you're selling. This is where the audience extension advertising can come in. So one of the things I do want to say is if you don't have enough inventory, you don't think you have enough inventory, it could be a pricing and packaging problem. Oftentimes when I work with publishers, we go in and we look at what they actually do have from a website standpoint, from an email standpoint, and we're able to reprice, repackage things. We find out we do have plenty of inventory to make a very strong impact on revenue. So I just want to throw this out here. It couldn't be that you don't have enough inventory. It might be that you're not packaging and pricing things right, but that's a subject for another session. Maybe you've come to the place where you say, hey, I just can't add any more ad placements to my site, right? I've worked with some publishers, they only got 2 ad placements. We could probably put 3 or 4 ad placements and give you some more inventory. Or we could move the ad placements around or change the sizes of the ad placements to make them yield better. So, make sure you've done that first. Or they just don't know how to grow traffic, right? We don't know how to grow enough traffic. We don't have enough traffic to our site. We're not doing well in search. See last week's episode if you want to learn more about search or social or email. But for whatever the reason, there's publishers out there who just don't have enough inventory. What they'll oftentimes turn to is programmatic advertising, right? So we as media companies will, instead of selling our own inventory on our own website, our own email newsletters, we will turn to programmatic. We'll work with a programmatic partner out there and we'll start to sell programmatic display advertising or geo-targeted advertising or programmatic email, or we'll start selling programmatic options rather than selling our own inventory. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I've worked with several publishers who are doing really well in the programmatic space. But there are some challenges when it comes to just selling programmatic on its own. So the first challenge is it's usually a different sales process, right? Selling your own website, your own email newsletters, your owned media versus reselling programmatic inventory. It's a very, very different process. It doesn't have to be. You can simplify it, but in general, it is very different because you get much more different complex targeting. I mean, you've got all these options here, right? You've got programmatic search, you've got social, display. You're even getting into, CTV and programmatic email and programmatic radio, right? There's tons of different things you could sell out there. Once we start doing this, the list of options that we begin to sell starts to explode exponentially, and our sellers oftentimes can have a difficult time adapting to it. Usually it's different production systems, different ad systems, right? So we're selling our own ads on our own website or our own email newsletters, and we're trafficking it through this ad system and getting reports through this ad system. But if you're starting to use a programmatic option, you're now trafficking the ads and trafficking the creatives and doing the production work and getting the reports from a different ad system, right? Maybe they've white labeled it. You're typically using a third-party partner, but no matter what, you've now got two different ad systems that you're using for this. That can complicate things. Oftentimes that means different reporting. Hey, your media you're running on our own website and our own email newsletter, here's a report for that. Oh, but here's a different report for media you're running programmatically through us. What this does is when we're reselling programmatic, we're reselling something that anybody can sell, right? Any ad agency out there can go hit your clients and try to sell them programmatic advertising, right? Anybody can use these other programmatic ad systems out there. So there's really not a unique selling proposition when you're just selling programmatic separately, right? Anybody can go out there. Anybody can do the geo-targeting. Anybody can do the demographic targeting or the content-based targeting through these programmatic ad systems. They don't need us as publishers to do that. Now, it does help that we can sometimes bring that to people because then they have kind of one point of sale. We become an overarching agency. That's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But one of the things I oftentimes see is sellers within publishing companies get very enamored with the programmatic. They get enamored with the programmatic and they start selling programmatic, and that's what they're focusing on selling, to the detriment of their own media, their own website, their own email newsletters. So I don't want to get too deep into this here. I'm still a big fan of adding programmatic onto this, but not necessarily at the sacrifice of selling our own media. And this is where the audience extension advertising can really come into play and kind of meld these two worlds together into one thing. So what is audience extension advertising? Let's get into this here. Okay, you know me, I love diagrams, I love charts. I just think this way. Anybody who knows me knows I love whiteboards. As a matter of fact, I'll share a little story with you here. I was the chief digital officer at Penton Media, actually senior VP of digital, I should say, before it got sold to Informa. And when I was going to leave the company, my team actually gave me a whiteboard bib as a parting gift. They gave me a bib with places where I could stick on markers and stick on an eraser, so I could just write on myself anywhere I went. I always had a built-in whiteboard because I love whiteboards, love diagrams. So here's my diagram showing audience extension advertising. So let's talk about how this works. All right, we're going to start here with your publisher website, your own website. We're going to find a programmatic ad partner, and I have a couple of recommendations for you that I will give at the end of this session. When you do a programmatic ad partner, you're going to take a tag from them, and you're going to add that tag to your website. When you add that tag to your website, we are now building a remarketing audience out at this programmatic ad partner. No different than adding the Facebook pixel and building a remarketing audience on Facebook or the Google pixel or LinkedIn or Twitter or any other programmatic partner. You can add these tags to your site and then build out an audience. an audience of people who have visited your site over whatever days, let's say 30 days, 60 days, whatever we want to do. We can build that audience out at a programmatic ad partner. Okay, what we then do is, let's say that we want an extra 500,000 ad impressions in the month of April. We'll place a buy with the programmatic ad partner for 500,000 impressions. And number one, and I'll show you this here in the next slide. The first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to target these ad impressions on select third-party websites. We'll target them to the people who have visited our website in the last 30 days, right? This is where the advantage comes, in that we're not just doing geo-targeting or demographic targeting. We're actually retargeting our audience as they're visiting these select third-party websites. Okay, so we'll retarget these. We may add some geographic limiters. Maybe you're a regional media company who just serves the Chicago metro area, right? Well, we'll target just to people who are in the Chicago area. Maybe we'll add some, we can then also expand this with demographic, which I'll get to here in a minute. But bottom line, let's say we are tagging our website and then we're buying 500,000 impressions while our audience visits other websites. Okay, no big deal so far. This is something we've all done before. Here's where the unique thing comes in with audience extension. Instead of directly serving up the advertiser's creative or the advertiser's ad tags through here, instead, we're actually setting them up in our own ad system. So whatever ad system you happen to be using, we'll create special zones that are specifically for the programmatic ad partners. Now, I use certain sizes. I don't necessarily like the little mobile sizes, just because I think it's too easy to get caught up into a bunch of apps like Candy Crush or other things like that where your ad inventory isn't so great. So there's some ad sizes I typically recommend that we target, but instead of actually putting in the ads here, we actually put the ads into our own ad system. And then we can target certain zones. Like maybe we have, let's call it, audience extension leaderboard, audience extension rectangle, and we give the ad zone code. That's what we give to our programmatic ad partner. So literally, when someone visits this third-party website, an ad comes up, it's going to the programmatic ad partner. The programmatic ad partner says, okay, I'm going to serve up this ad code from this publisher. And the publisher ad system delivers that back to here. So what's the beauty about all this is now your advertiser can advertise on your website or programmatically to your audience as they're visiting other websites, and they do it all through your own ad system. So your trafficking team still traffics the ads just like they would if they were going to publish to your own website. The reports are all consolidated, so you can see all the entire campaign back to your advertiser on the same ad system. The beauty about this is we could literally add probably millions of impressions to just about any market that we want through this. Now, I always try to recommend that we sell them a combination, right? How you sell this is a whole separate issue, but that we sell them our own, hey, reach our own website. And then if you want to do like the extension, hey, you'll reach our website, plus you'll reach our readers as they're visiting other websites. Treat it as an extension, not as an or, right? Treat it as an extension, not as an or. Hey, sell, we'll sell you 50,000, 100,000 impressions on our site, but we'll sell you another 100,000 impressions while our audience visits these third-party websites. So this is the beauty of audience extension advertising. We're not selling this separately. Literally, our programmatic ad partners completely behind the scenes. Once a month, we may say, hey, we need 500,000 programmatic ad impressions for this month. Whoever on your team works with that programmatic partner buys the 500,000 ad impressions, and then you're done. Now you just traffic your ads to your system, target not only your own website, but target these special ad zones for here, and you're done. There's nothing more you need to do. You don't need to actually set up campaigns within the programmatic ad partners system. So this is how audience extension advertising works. I want to kind of position this, though, the way we always position it with our advertisers. We say, hey, our website, maybe our website and our email. I know a lot of publishers who take their email inventory and they serve it up through their ad system as well. So their website and email are owned media. That's our core. That's the core audience that we're going to reach here, right? And so that's who we'll target. That's the core of the audience. If you're going to buy some advertising with us, however we price and package it, this is where we start. But then we supplement it. We add it with remarketing. We then supplement it with, okay, if you're going to target our website and target our audience, let's also then add the remarketing, and let's add another 50,000, 100,000 impressions of remarketing inventory targeting our visitors as they're reaching other websites. This is usually where I like to stop. However, and usually when we do this, we can get enough inventory to really make a difference, to add probably millions of impressions to most publishers' ad systems. However, sometimes we'll run into a situation where we need to go beyond this. So in that situation, in the programmatic partner, not only are we building a remarketing audience, but we also set up a demographic audience. So we'll also go out and we'll say, okay, let's say this was for some systems, Linux systems administrator publication, right? We'll target the inventory on this website. We'll then remarket to the visitors of our website as they're visiting other select websites. But then we may say, you know what, let's also add a third layer onto this, which is the demographic targeting, where this is what anybody can buy, right? Anybody can buy this. But we may add that on to get a few extra impressions if we need to. We only do this if we absolutely need to. And the way we might target is say, okay, let's go out here, let's target Linux system administrators who live in, let's say, just the United States and Canada, if we wanted to limit that geography. Or we may say, let's target business leaders, managers and C titles and business owners who only live in a specific geographic area. All right, so we can add that on if we need to get additional inventory. Again, I like to start with here, sell that out. Then we'll expand to here using a programmatic partner, but we'll traffic it through our own ad system, and we'll retarget our own audience as they're doing this. And then if we need to, I'll expand to here. By the way, we can add geographic limiters to any of these things here, right? So let's say that you are a city and regional magazine serving Indianapolis. We could target a specific demographic. We could target your remarket to your website visitors, but we could say, hey, only show this inventory to people who actually live in this specific Indianapolis DMA or specific geographic area. So you can add geographic limiters to remarketing, or if we need to expand beyond that, we then do a demographic targeting also with a geographic limiter. But all of it's being served through your own ad system. So, ad systems. These are the two ad systems that I've worked with where we have done this kind of programmatic audience extension advertising, Advert Serve and Broad Street Ads. So just search for Advert Serve. Mike Cerchetti is the CTO over there. Really like working with him. He's good. Or target Broad Street Ads, right? Kenny Katzker and his team out there, really, really good folks out there. Both systems are very, very strong. I use them significantly. We have done this kind of audience extension advertising with both systems. I know it works. Theoretically, this audience extension advertising should work with Google Ad Manager if you're using what's called the passback tag, right? The passback tag is a single tag instead of normally with these ad systems, you can do there's a tag you add in the header and then a tag you add on the page where you want. You can't do that. You have to have just a single tag. So theoretically, it should work with Google Ad Manager. I have not had any clients who use Google Ad Manager try this yet, so we haven't tested it. I know it works with AdvertServe and Broad Street Ads. And then for the programmatic partners, there's plenty of them out there, but these are the two that I love working with. Both of these companies have been fantastic. We've worked it through with both companies. They know what we're talking about. So Adcelerant, ask for Ben out there. There's his phone number, 720-908-5445, or there's his email address, just bbuslog@adcelerant.com. And again, we'll put this into the actual session when we record it. Or January Spring is another very good one that I like to use. Charity Huff and her team over there. There's her phone number, 303-872-7932, or contact@januaryspring.com. By the way, I'm not recommending these people for any other reason other than the fact that I've worked with these folks before as programmatic partners. It could work with other programmatic ad partners out there. Same thing with these ad systems. I'm not pitching these to try to pitch them. I'm pitching because I know it's worked with these two. So there's two ad systems you could use, two programmatic partners that you could use. Bottom line, that's programmatic audience extension. So again, let's go over one more time. You're going to publish a tag on your site. You're going to build a remarketing audience. You're then going to buy inventory through a programmatic ad partner. And you're going to either buy retargeted inventory, perhaps with some geographic limiters, or demographic targeted inventory with some geographic limiters if you can't get enough inventory. You're going to then have special zones in your ad system for programmatic. And then your advertiser is going to give you their creative or their ad tags. You'll put it into your ad system. You'll deliver their ad to your website, and you'll deliver it to the programmatic ad zone. And then all of that will be trafficked back through your own ad system, and you can give a consolidated report back to your advertiser. By the way, CPMs on this, I see CPMs range anywhere from probably $5 to, at the top end, $8 for really targeted B2B inventory. But typically, you're going to see $5, $6 CPMs is what you're going to pay. Well, if you turn around and resell that at $30, $40, $50 CPMs, or you're making it part of a large package where the CPMs make a whole lot of sense, it could be very, very profitable venture. So do realize there is a cost to this because you are purchasing additional inventory, but it's a very good way for most publishers to add additional inventory to their own ad server to sell to their advertisers. So that's it for audience extension advertising this week. I hope you guys found this useful, and we will see you guys next week.